everybody. You're going to want to listen all the way through this episode because we're talking about a love story that may or may not be true, but we really are psyched about the fact that Mariah's got somebody in her life. Maybe.
We're also going to let you know about a very important and very exciting En Vogue update. Get ready for this. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Well, look at us all back in the 90s now. Hi, Kel. How are you?
Magical.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I feel pretty sparkly myself. We have got a lot to get to today. Kelly, one of the most famous family names in TV isn't a real one, and the brothers have some regrets. So we're going to talk about that. Also, of all the artists that want to collaborate with Taylor Swift, this guitar giant has a vision. So we'll talk about that too. Kelly's trivia will make you feel like you should have stayed in school, like still now, so that you wouldn't have to do it because it's so hard. Nah, just kidding. Your 90s rewind will take us to a place where like there are timeless classics, but they also feel very much like 1993, which is the year we will celebrate today. And the rumblings of Mariah and her personal life are hard to ignore. Why? Because we're looking for them. That's why. So let's start there. The question is Mariah Carey dating Anderson .Paak? And the answer is, it seems like it.
It looks like it. Looks like it. It looks like it. Because this has been months now in the I think something is there because at first they were spotted around Christmas, I believe, in the hot spot of Aspen where she likes to spend her Christmas holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And so we heard stories there about that at that point. But it could have been like, oh, he's there also vacationing and they just had dinner. You know what I mean? Like, and there was
Yeah.
also, I think, talk at that time that they were recording, and the talk is still that they might be recording and working together. So
Yeah.
that's all fine. But I think there's enough instances of them going out to dinner and being spotted that this looks like it could be a something something.
And there was also even earlier than that, he had posted a picture with her around Halloween.
Oh, right. So there you go.
So there's that. We should also maybe kind of start by saying neither one of their reps at the point of this show responded to our communique or have confirmed or denied anything. So we're going on the old inside source, which seemed to be pretty forthcoming in this article that we read about going as far as to say that, like Kelly said, it's been going on for a few months, but that he is smitten by her,
Mm-hmm.
which is exciting because who doesn't, that's a nice feeling to have someone like you like that,
Yeah.
and to like someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they are both so musically inclined, and that this whatever spark came out of working together, I think is pretty cool. So we can look forward to more of that magic. And that they connected on a parental level,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool too. It's nice to also be in the same spot in your life with someone.
Yeah. She just turned Freedom 55, Sharon.
Whoop whoop.
And I love that she still calls it her anniversary week, not a birthday.
Right.
Does not like to acknowledge the years as they go on.
Who
Uh,
does?
but she looks fantastic. And it's kind of crazy to think she's 55 because we all remember when she burst onto the scene as what, 21 in
Yeah.
1990?
Yeah. That was an incredible uh, beginning for her because it was pre anything that we have access to now. You couldn't just open your phone to find information, partially because not a lot of people had cell phones.
My sister had one the size of Alaska in
Exactly.
1995.
It's supposed to be like I would bet, and don't judge me because I have a cowbell close by, but it was almost this big.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, this is convenient. Clunk. Hello.
Yeah.
And people were basically yelling stuff.
It looks like I remember my sister's old phone in hindsight now looks like a satellite phone that you'd use if you were climbing Everest.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like a closed circuit phone,
Yeah.
a giant walkie-talkie,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
kind of what they were.
Yeah, exactly. Give my sister credit though. She's had the same phone number since 1995.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so it's seared
That's
into my
cool.
brain. But anyways, all that to say is that Mariah's 55. Yeah, so in 1990 she would have been 20. Um, but and I remember I think the first time that I saw her perform was I think it was the American Music Awards, and she was in like this is when she burst onto the scene because like I think her album or her single had come out that summer and you know it was quite the thing obviously. And then because it was Emotions, right? No, it wasn't. It was
Vision of Love.
Vision of Love, that's it. And so she was in like this black one-piece cat suit with a gold belt around her waist. And I
Hmm.
think that was the American Music Awards when I saw her perform, and she was just incredible, bananas. Like,
Yeah, I
and she
had
still
seen
has
her.
the same dance move. Like,
Yeah, I'd seen her on the Today Show, and I mean, back then it wasn't as extravagant as the morning shows of television create now. Like with the outdoor stages and stuff like that, and they create a whole thing. It was her in studio singing, and no audience, right?
mhm,
But after she did Vision of Love, it was like the crew were stunned and the people applauded. So whoever was there that got to experience that moment
yeah,
were compelled to applaud, which is
yeah,
obvious. Now we know this many years in what Mariah Carey is capable of. So I think
yeah.
anybody that got to see that on TV like me, but actually got to be in the space while she did it, like what a treat.
Yeah. And I would also just wanted to give a shout out to because when I was finding this information about her and Anderson .Paak, there was a you know how they sometimes say like they offer you an article that's either on the same topic or close.
Yep.
There was an article that came up about artist Money Long, who was one of the artists that performed for Mariah at the iHeartRadio Music Awards when Mariah just got that Icon Award back
Mm-hmm.
on St. Patrick's Day. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it sounds like some people online were slagging Money, saying that she, you know, like I don't know what they said, but the gist of it was she's not Mariah Carey. And and I just would like to say she's a fantastic artist. Mariah Carey was very grateful that she performed. I think Mariah asked for her to be one of the people that sang for her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, nobody sounds like Mariah. Like you just can't.
Well, you
So
try. I think that she's the bar, and everybody
yeah.
who has a creative similarity to her is going to try.
Yeah. And I just think Money Long did a great job. And I just, because she's a very talented artist, and I don't like that people went after her because it was a tribute. So of course it's not Mariah singing, it's tribute to her. So
Hmm. It's an interesting time that we're in. I find that, where it was like we used to rely on what the critics said because we didn't have access to like similar, like we said before, we didn't have access to stuff.
mhm,
So critics' opinions became, valuable. And now anybody can have an opinion. I
yeah.
mean, before they could too, but they didn't have the job to make it so. Now anybody has an opinion, they can share it, but it's like they wield it about as if you want their opinion.
Hmm.
You know?
Hmm.
It's one thing for me to go into a magazine and read the review of something. That's
Yeah.
me actively pursuing that. Other people just spewing their opinions because they've got their own social media page, and who doesn't?
Hmm.
It's not the same. You don't get to be a jerk just because you have an opinion,
Hmm.
And people, I think, really kind of abuse that.
J'agree.
J'agree.
All that to
That's
say is MC squared is amazing.
yeah. You know what I loved about the fact that part of what we were reading was that TMZ had chimed in about reporting that they had worked on music together, as well as being in a reported entanglement, which I thought was a very grown-up word.
That's a
But
great word.
yeah, but I figured ultimately if TMZ was on it, there's definitely something there. So
Smoke and fire, Sharon. Smoke and fire.
smoke and fire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I mean, just the musical output. If they're both happy in a relationship with each other, yay for that. But the
Yeah.
music that'll come out of that friendship or collaboration, I think is going to be amazing.
Yeah. And she, by the way, the last relationship that I think was of public awareness was she was with a former dancer of hers, Brian Tanaka, I believe it is.
Hmm.
And they were together for 5 years and they amicably broke up. It sounds like well over a year ago. So from what I gather, unless there's been something going on, but I feel like we would have known if there was another person ahead of Anderson. I really think she has been alone for at least a year, if not two, at this point. And it's great to see her in a happy space if that's where
Well,
we're at.
Interesting though, we knew that about the dancer because we talked about it around the holidays, right?
Hmm.
But this article says that she hasn't seriously dated anyone in years, which is from the inside source. Hasn't seriously dated anyone in years, but that Anderson is the first person she has truly been interested in. So talk about sticking it to the dancer.
Yeah, and he seems like a nice boy, by the way, and was around, like I said, he was at least 5 years with her, I believe. So,
Maybe they were just friends.
yeah, I don't think so, but
Friends with benefits.
maybe. Anyways, but I think he only addressed it once when they broke up, just saying like he wished her well and all that. So it was really grown up and sweet,
Yeah.
and I think they had a sweet relationship. So I'm glad that they both were uh, positive in how they went their separate
Hmm.
ways.
Well,
So
this inside source is flawed.
yeah,
Either way, it's like anything, right? It's none of our business. We're stirring the pot a little bit for the rumor
yeah,
mill, but if we can take the positives out of it, which will be that they'll make great music and maybe they're dating and having fun together, and that's positive.
yeah. And who
I
doesn't
like
like
it.
to wax poetic about Mariah Carey? Like she just makes me
Hmm.
happy. So
Yeah. Yeah, Kel.
yeah.
Speaking of waxing poetic, I have no actual segue to get from that to trivia, but hey, why don't we?
All about the trivia, Sharon.
Trivia.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
So this is the last question on either of these cards. So pop culture or hobbies, toys, and games, Sharon.
Hobbies, toys, and games.
Alrighty. In 1992, 1990 dose, if you'd like, a world record was
I would like.
awarded for the tallest house built out of what?
1992, the world record for the tallest house built out of
This is actually
Lego.
of what, sorry?
Lego.
Close. One more guess. Think of what it would not be if it wasn't Lego.
Um, Tinker Toys. Mega Blocks.
House of Cards.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
House of Cards. Wow. How tall was it? Does it say?
It does not say. At
Why
least it
would it,
doesn't
why
say,
would it be helpful and say something
yeah, at least it doesn't say
learned?
tall. So there's like last week.
Duh.
Um, pop culture.
Yep.
Brooke Shields was briefly married to which tennis star?
Andre Agassi.
Good job, Sharon. Good job.
I'm glad I didn't start with that. I think it's better to end strong.
On a strong note, yeah.
Who doesn't like a happy ending?
Um,
Anyways,
Andre
let's
Agassi had quite the mullet until he didn't.
didn't. He
Kind of
had
like
it until he didn't.
kind of like Michael Bolton.
Yes, Canadian star Kim Mitchell, similarly,
Oh yes. Yes.
long hair. And I remember when he and Michael Bolton, it wasn't the same haircut, though they probably could have got a deal. But they both went short, both balding on top. And there's nothing wrong with losing your hair. It happens
Hmm.
to a lot of guys. Um, but the clean look of both of them, even Andre went totally bald, right? Like he did the
Yeah.
whole shave.
He looks great.
Yeah, I love it.
They look great. Hot boys.
Yeah, we love hot boy.
That's saying a lot for our time. Yeah.
Speaking of heat in a different way entirely, um, Carlos Santana is definitely a goat when it comes to um, rock music, playing guitar. He's uh, he's just a pioneer, right? And what he is saying now, as far as wanting to collaborate, one of his biggest albums was Supernatural, where he worked with a ton of people. Rob Thomas was one. He worked with Everlast. He worked with a bunch, and it's a great album.
Mhm.
And this guy's been around for since 1969, I believe, was the first album. So he's been there, done that kind of thing. He performed at Woodstock, et cetera, et cetera. He says now he wants to do an album with Taylor Swift that validates and celebrates the female side of God.
This is quite a goal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big, a, like a big undertaking, I would say.
Yeah.
And when you think of all the people that want to work with Taylor Swift, like he's thinking things like he wants to do cover versions of No Woman, No Cry with her, or Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman, or Carole King's Natural Woman, which was made so famous by Aretha Franklin.
Mhm.
He said that he thinks that for many, many centuries, women have gotten a bum rap from the male gaze. For many, many centuries, women have got the bum rap. That's a quote from the male gaze. He says, to me, it's like, no, no, no. I've got to get together with my sister and take that female queen goddess to a whole other level of deep appreciation and validation,
Mhm.
which in theory, in my opinion, sounds great. I don't know that she needs it
She
from
does.
anybody.
Yeah. I was just thinking as you were talking about this, I'm like, because I never think about this, but the amount of people that must try to let it be known that they would want to work with her must be like over the moon, you know?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
if there's one that she should do, it would be this because no one would expect it. Imagine like her hooking up with like Guitar God. Like,
Yeah, I don't, it would be cool
mhm,
because collabs are cool,
mhm,
but I think just the intention and what he wants to take her to a whole other level. I
mhm.
think she's there.
Oh yeah, no, she needs no more levels. Except for her own personal advancement, you know, whatever she deems that to be. But
Yeah.
I think it would be something no one would expect, that's for sure. But I feel like I think what he has like the idea of it is so great. I think it's a great idea. I just feel like he should spread the love around to other female artists.
Hmm.
Be a collaboration album that he does with like Sheila E. and you know,
Well, they have collabed, on many different levels.
mhm,
Musically is just one of them. Michelle Branch was another,
right. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right? That was a
yeah,
great song.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But like, I would love to see what Jesse Reyes would sound like with him.
yeah.
You know, hey, him and Erica Badu, like him and even like if he went, it'd be fun to see what Tate McRae would do with him. You know,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
to really. But I feel like I feel like he needs to go for all women in different genres and different stages of their career and like have a go and see what they come up with
What I
musically.
find interesting is that I can see the clarity of the intention,
Hmm.
but that and I'm not trying to be overly feminist,
Hmm.
but the idea of a man wanting to validate and celebrate the a woman,
Oh yeah.
you can't use, maybe don't use the word
Yeah, maybe
validate,
don't use
and
it.
that's nitpicky and whatever,
Yeah.
but it's very 2025. It might be the thing that, you know, has this not happen. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
I guess I didn't read it like that, which I should have because that's how it was said. I guess I was thinking more like it'd be cool to see artists with him and him with them, not on like an equal
and you
play.
know what?
Yeah.
Maybe he's talking about less about validating her, more about validating the female side of God. So that would actually be opening up the conversation to something uh, broader.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Hmm. Yep. That's
um, so
yeah.
yeah, and I don't know. Anything can work. I
Yeah.
think if your intention is pure and interesting, anybody can make anything work. But
I have
from
another
your
Lilith.
perspective, I think, or
Yeah.
what you added, like the Tate
Yeah.
McRae's and stuff, I think that they could use it.
Yeah. I would
They
love
could
to
use
see
that boost.
another Lilith Fair. That's what I would like to see.
Yes, Sarah McLachlan looks pretty rested.
Yeah. She looks ready to go.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Let's do it, Sarah McLachlan.
come on, Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's move on from one of the greatest females of all time to three very known males that have the last name of Lawrence: Joey, Matthew, and Andrew.
Hmm.
I think that visually, Joey and Matthew are more familiar to people. Andrew Lawrence is the youngest of the three Lawrence brothers, who's got, a lot of credits to his name, not the least of which he was the voice of TJ on Recess
Hmm.
for a while. Love that show and the movies. But the fact that we have said their last name a couple of times is great. You know them. Joey Lawrence,
Hmm.
Blossom, right? Matthew Lawrence, Mrs. Doubtfire. Um, but their last name is not Lawrence.
Nope.
Lawrence is the middle name of Joey, and it was kind of tribute to their father and their grandfather. But their last name is Mignona,
Yep.
and they sort of figured at the time that Joey was starting acting, and wasn't his first gig "Give Me a Break" with Nell
I think
Carter?
so, with Nell Carter.
Yeah. Um, that they figured, oh, no one's going to know how to pronounce this,
Yep.
which by today's standards sounds ridiculous. Kind of
Mhm.
like, figure out how to pronounce it. Here, let me tell you how I pronounce my name. This is how.
Mhm.
But Mignona had two silent G's,
Yeah.
Mignogna.
Mhm.
Still, I mean, all these years we've been wondering how come Bologna or baloney, whatever. We can adjust, but there's something about Hollywood and agents and those people that put the package together that say, no, 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 we got to make it, more accessible for whoever. I guess the ding dongs that can't pronounce words.
Mhm.
So they do have some regrets this many years later about having basically dual identities when it comes to legit things like banking and taxes and having a passport,
Mhm.
which they outlined when they were doing this 90s con.
Yeah, it's crazy because like, and it's you sometimes you get nicknames or whatever, but it's really like I've been through problems before with my own name. And yeah, if you have one document that says something, but then another government doc, you're like, oh my goodness, bad news bears, like
Yeah.
not good at all.
Nate Bargatze is a comedian. He does a bit on it where his license says Nate and his passport says Nathaniel.
Okay, yeah.
And they're like, well, they're different. He says, well, certainly you can see it's not, you can see where they made the jump here. Nate, Nathaniel, but they don't consider that stuff, right? Like
No.
it's literal to the letter.
Yeah.
How come they're different? They can be two, it could
Yeah.
be fraud is what they have to think, right? So,
Yeah.
but the other bonus I think for the Lawrence brothers that was pointed out by Matthew Lawrence was that they thought that their parents did this wisely to allow them and afford them some anonymity when because they were child actors, so they still had to go to school and they still had to live their lives. But
Yeah.
this way, they could at least be, if anybody was looking for Joey Lawrence or Matthew Lawrence, they weren't going to find them.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's definitely not wrong. And I know like in what we do for a living, we have many people that we know that change their names. You and I have not,
Nope.
but we know many that have. And I remember one of my friends in Toronto, she was very happy that she had a quote unquote stage name because she had some weird people trying to contact her.
hmm
So she was very happy to have that separation.
Well, you know what? I think I've had people call my house.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a landline anymore, so you're not getting through. But
Yeah.
like, I remember getting a voicemail once, gosh, like 20 years ago, maybe 22 or three.
Okay.
And the voicemail was, "Hi, Sharon," and he gave me his name
Mhm.
and said, "You don't know me. I just want to get together for a coffee. I just want to get together and chat." And I thought, no,
Yeah.
no, thanks, but thanks. How forward of you to just, I don't know, look up the number in the book and try all the people with my last name. I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
that would have been some effort back in the day to do that.
hmm
Yeah.
The phone book.
The yeah. Yeah. No.
Anyways,
So I think, like you said, I think it was a wise decision for the parents to do it like that. But yeah, now it's probably a bit of a hassle and they're going to have to figure out because I think even one of them said they don't really travel internationally anymore because it's too much of a hassle trying to get their documents in order to like leave the
right.
States. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, to go from that to the very end of uh, the show and your
Mhm.
90s rewind,
Yeah.
uh, I wanted to grab a handful of songs that celebrated 1993. Are you ready for that?
That was a banner year in music, Sharon.
Yes, I realize that. When you think of how Duran Duran basically had a comeback with Ordinary World,
Hmm.
and that has now, for a lot of people, um, their starting point of being a fan of Duran Duran. And then
Right.
they're like, oh, wait, all those songs from the 80s? What? They had like over a decade of music prior to that. But that was a great song and a great return. And speaking of world, how about A Whole New World? So I was just gazing out into the whole new world with Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell.
Uh,
So beautiful. Big old movie music and hip hop hooray from Naughty by Nature. Not 'cause I hate you.
yeah.
Now, putting a staple sound on a song like That's What Love Can Do by Boy Crazy,
Wow.
crazy with a K, that is crazy. That's one of those songs, though, that you're like, that sounds like the early 90s. Thank you very much. It's just got the weird little sound effects and that electric piano sound too. Anyways, all very good. Boy Crazy, crazy with a K. Look for it if you're going. I think I know what she's talking about. Now we talked about the Junos before because we got to talk about Anne Murray. So it was 31 years ago that Snow won the Juno for Best Reggae Recording for Informa. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame just a few years ago for that song. That song itself had crossed border success,
hmm
Informer, and we were loving it around this time in 1993. And to wrap up, I thought just one, I mean, technically, we are recording this show on the last day of what is Women's History Month.
hmm
Certainly we have moved into April by the time you're hearing it, but still never a wrong time to talk about Whitney Houston and I'm Every Woman.
Lovely.
Come on.
I love that jam.
She gets to cover Shaka Khan on that. Shaka Khan gets to sing on that song. Everybody wins.
There's actually a Montreal artist named Rev, who you and I both know.
Yes.
And she has a song called Whitney in homage to Whitney and other.
Yes.
She gets to sample, or what's the fancy word? Extrapolate. What is it? Or
Extrapolate. Yeah.
that one. Um, so for anyone listening right now, if you can find Rev, Reve, and then the song Whitney, it's great.
Oh,
That's my
yeah.
favorite song to play on the radio from her. I just think it's fantastic and it's such a great homage to Whitney and the ladies. So
And I would say that she's got at least three songs that everybody listening right now knows.
mhm.
At least three.
Yeah.
But if the name is sort of like, what are they saying? Rev is new to your ears. Go and find it. Control Alt Delete is the other one, I think for
Yes.
sure that you'll know. But
And
that song Whitney
headphones.
is awesome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw Rev open for Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper,
Lauper.
which was soups cool.
Yeah, and I love that she got to open for her here, and then Luke Hella opened for Cindy in Toronto.
Soups cool, Kill. I'm
And
just gonna keep on saying that. Soups cool.
and I have an announcement before we go.
You have a bit of news?
I do. Our live stream that was supposed to be the 23rd. I know I mentioned this last week, but just again a reminder that was supposed to be the 23rd of March is now April 6th. The Janet Jackson Rhythm Rumble. And so we're taking, we initially started with 32 songs online. We took votes, got them down to 16. And now the 16, we were going to do live voting on Instagram Live. So at Kelly Alexander Show is where you find us on
Nice.
that Instagram Live stream, which is April 6th, which is a Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern. So at Kelly Alexander Show, cannot wait. Janet Jackson Rhythm Rumble.
Rhythm Rumble. We also had an update for we had talked about Don Robinson, right?
En Vogue, I have it. En Vogue update. I just like saying it.
In Vogue, I can tell.
Uh, so quick news about En Vogue. And maybe you would know the news if you're following them on Instagram, but I just saw the news today, so I'm very excited. We had mentioned that Maxine Jones is back with the group. Uh,
Right?
there's lots of great behind the scenes videos to look at on Instagram of them in rehearsal. So please go check that out. But the big news that I saw is they are performing, I believe it's the Friday at Glastonbury
Ooh.
here. I'm so happy for them. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we're still missing Dawn Robinson. She is not a part of the lineup right now, but the three originals, plus the newbie will be. I think it's Rona. I think is the newbie. Even though I think she's been a part of En Vogue now for a few years, but it'll be great to see Cindy and Maxine and Terry Ellis doing their thing
Yeah.
on stage at Glastonbury. Like I'm so happy for
That's a
them.
huge stage for anybody, but like imagine how happy they're going to be to see them.
Yeah, and just seeing them back in rehearsal again. So if you can go just watch some of these videos that they have on their Instagram, they're only like 30 seconds to a minute long. It's just anybody who's a 90s like person will love you. Like your heart's gonna burst of joy
Hmm.
to see, we wish Dawn was back there. I hope one day she is. But
Yeah.
to see the three ladies, and again with the latest member, it's just, I don't know, it's amazing.
Magic.
Magic.
Okay, so again, Kelly's live stream for the Rhythm Rumble for Janet is Sunday, April 6th on the Instagram, Kelly Alexander Show.
At Kelly Alexander. Are you gonna be there, Sharon?
I think I will.
Okay, great. I'll text you in advance so you don't forget.
And then you'll text me, please stop commenting.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is something to look forward to. Everybody, thank you for being a part of this one today, for taking us wherever it is that you are. Thank you for taking us along for your ride. We appreciate that you're listening. So thank you for listening to 90s Now, still happening.